I used to tell people in marriage counseling, you can be right or married because you can't be both. What if those are the blessings? What if the hard shit is what we came for?
Once again, the dichotomy, aloha Hawaii from Nebraska.
Yeah. People make this big thing about it. I got to sign up at this place and volunteer this. No, dude, just go to Starbucks and be fucking cool to the people in front of you. Ask how they're doing. What's cracking, everybody? Welcome to the launch of Indestructible Joy, my new podcast. Actually, it's picking up where my old podcast turned off about 2 years ago. Pervasive happiness. Purpose of it still unclear. I think we live in a time, the purpose of this generation is to look for truth and kind of unwind all the brainwashing from hundreds of years. So it's kind of an open venue environment. I don't want you to believe what I say. I don't want you to agree with what I say. I want you to start to think for yourself, especially if you're a man. I think part of the reason I'm doing this is because men just have drifted into kind of a pussy mindset in this entire country, in every which way you look at it. I mean, from the top down, they're doing things even lower testosterone. There's just a lot going on. I feel like at some point someone's got to say, men, be a fucking man, take your role, do your responsibility. So I want to talk a little bit about that. Whatever my guests want to talk about is what I want to go over, because why not?
Why not?
Why not? What else am I going to do? People keep asking, why are you doing a podcast? And I don't really have a good reason outside of, I just don't want to continue to, I have 3 kids and I just see so much of the shit that the world is kind of imposing on them. I just want to continue to be a voice for someone, for men mostly to be men and for women to be women, and don't take anything into that outside of, because I don't care what anyone does, to be honest. But I do think this whole place is unraveling our entire country because they've emasculated men to a point where it's, fuck it, let's take it back. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're here for, if that makes any sense to anyone.
Makes sense to me, man. Absolutely.
This is Max, by the way. Max is my first interview. He's a podcaster extraordinaire. He's got
here and there
truckloads of talent, and so he's kind of our first one to try and figure out what we're doing here.
Yeah, well, we do a little bit of work together, you and I, Tommy, and you're an interesting guy. You have like a kind of a warmth about you that it's very inviting, but you also have this like badassery, So, and I love, you talk about picking up this podcast where your last one left off, and this is indestructible, badass joy,
yes,
happy.
Sir.
The last one is pervasive, happiness, right? Yeah. So it's kind of like this dichotomy where you're like, I want you to be like a badass about protecting your happiness, which I think is cool. But what I want to know is like, how did you get so into, trying to lift up others and create more happiness wherever it is, at home, at work, and why is that, so important? And like when you're talking about these, the issues of, men are more feminine and all this kind of stuff, like where does your message of indestructible joy, how does it play into all that?
Well, I think what makes me an expert on happiness is I'm an expert in doing things the wrong way. I'm there, I have addictive personality, but it's not just like a level 1 addictive personality. Even amongst addicts, I'm like ninja level. So I'm either all in or something or not. There's not really a middle ground for me. So, I've tried a lot of things that I thought would joy. Drugs didn't work so good. Crack's not the way to path happiness. Although
everybody, crack is not.
Someone needs to hear that.
Not the path to happiness.
Alcohol, all that stuff. Guys got real stuff they got to wrestle with. You better figure out your relationship with pornography. You better figure out your relationship with the other sex. You better figure out your relationship with your role as a man, or you will just get swept away in this world, because there's so many distractions and things just set up to keep you a sheep. I mean, it's so pervasive right now that, I think this comes from a core of learning everything the hard way. Everything. There's no happiness in money. There's no happiness in anything outside of things that truly work, which I believe I got it down to 3 pillars. I wrote a book called Aloha from Nebraska. And
yes, you're an author as well.
Sir.
Yes,
yes, sir.
Once again, the dichotomy: Aloha, Hawaii from Nebraska.
Yeah.
Right.
I knew no one else would have that title, so
that's a good one.
I knew the website would be open too. But anyway, there's 3 pillars of happiness, and I believe these were just delivered to me straight from God. Because one day I kind of decided to break down. These 3 words came to mind, and I can't seem to find any better words, and that's focus, grow, and give. Focus, grow, and give. Those are the 3 pillars of happiness. Focus. You don't get what you want in life. You don't get what you need in life, but you'll get what you focus on, period. Whatever you focus on is going to happen. It just does. Mm-hmm. Grow. Progress equals happiness. That's not my opinion. There's a whole field of positive psychology that will tell you if you're progressing or growing in something, your happiness set point is going to be higher. And then give, no life is really worth living, especially if you're a man, if you're not here to serve and help others. And that took a long time for me to get there. I didn't wake up that way. I'm probably the most selfish person on the planet. Mm-hmm. But then there comes a point where you realize there's misery in that. The only real joy comes from helping other people. I mean, we're here for 100 years, Mm-hmm. We're here for 100 years. What could possibly be the point outside of enjoying it? Anyway,
that's a powerful message right there, right? Because how many?
What else could it be?
How many people are waking up every day and they're going through the motions?
They're just completely programmed. It's all the program, your mindset.
Right.
It's not, and you, especially. I'll keep going with men, mostly because I don't understand women. So I'm just gonna.
Who does?
It's your job to reprogram it, though. It's your job if you're a man to reprogram the shit. I also have a huge adversity to being told what to do. I actually want to start a whole religion behind just don't tell me what to do. And there's levels of that, because once you realize how many people are trying to tell you what to do, you realize how many bullies are out there, and they're not only telling you what to do, but they're really aggressive. Once you kind of open your eyes and see how much people are coming at you, you kind of realize, man, it's either stand up, be me, be my real self, or just be what everybody else. So I decided a while back. That's kind of why I was a pastor for 12 years at a huge mega church here in San Diego, the Rock Church, and loved it. Great experience, but it just was the whole we're right and you have to be like us. Yep. I just broke up with that completely.
Yep. That's all over society.
Yeah,
we're right.
Well,
my mentality.
Once you see it in the government, once you see it in the religion, once you see it in your friend, you start to realize, wow, it's if I don't take control of my life, someone else will. And you see a whole country that's been institutionalized. Okay, especially the men.
So tell me, first of all, a couple quick things is one, maybe you and I get along so well because I have the all or nothing type of thing too. I was an alcoholic for a long time, and basically, you talk about porn, you talk about sex, you talk about drugs, food, like anything.
If you
cool.
can be addicted to it, I've been addicted.
Anything cool. What I'm going to do is I discover it.
I've killed the demon.
Tattoos, anything that's cool. Like I discover it. Yeah,
that's a great point, because there's also addiction. Since you're on this, I believe it's a superpower. And so does ADHD. ADHD means to me I don't focus on shit I don't want to. I don't want to get rid of that. And I don't want to get rid of my addictive personality. But I do have to figure out how to point it, because beer and crack, those are bad combination, and crime, that's a bad combination. There's this
crack, and crime together.
There's things that, but once you say, let me learn how to exercise, let me learn how to meditate, let me learn how to help. I started consuming personal development. I got addicted to it. I went to every Tony Robbins, everything, and Zig Ziglar back then. I mean, I would go to these things constantly, just because I was consumed with, what are we here for? How do we get better at this? How do I enjoy this whole life experience?
So how do we get better? And let's start what was life like for you back before you discovered your true path?
Well, that's the other thing. I'm literally a vampire's life worth of experiences. I mean, I grew up in Nebraska. Great parents, great childhood. It was awesome. For some reason, I decided to, just wanted to be a criminal. And I moved to Las Vegas because I wanted to join the mafia, believe it or not. That was my goal. I didn't even know an Italian person, and but I just showed up and started selling crack on the strip right out in front of Circus for about year and a half.
Circus,
Huh?
Yeah.
It's a good.
You had to pick the grimiest casino on the strip.
Also, out front was perfect. And I will say this, because I also own a business. I own a couple different businesses. Mostly because I can't be an employee, so I don't want to be told what to do. But I feel like I learned more about business and people during that 2 years than anything else I could have done. Now, I also was arrested 19 times by the time I was 23, and 11 of those were in Las Vegas in a 2-year period of time. So, I learned a lot about business, but it was a harsh learning curve. One day just was enough. Long story short, ended up in San Diego running from Las Vegas wreckage, and quit drinking, quit doing drugs, kind of went on a God quest.
How did you quit drinking and quit doing drugs?
Truthfully, I was in Vegas one time, super high, ate a bunch of acid and was just drunk, and it was cocaine. And I looked over the city. I was in this kind of mountaintop thing, and I saw, it's going to sound weird, but I saw like a fucking wave of army of demons. And it just, something inside me is like, this is where you're going if you don't. So I ran to San Diego. That, and a judge told me if he even saw me in the hallway of the court building again, I was going to do hard time. So those two things
That's a good motivator.
Went to San Diego, rethought my life, quit drinking. Next thing you know, I'm a fucking pastor at a mega church. God bless you. God bless you. And loved it. It's just what I was called to do for that time. And because tremendous opportunity to help people. I was the outreach pastor. We grew all these little mini ministries. There was 200 of them. Everything from homeless ministry, prison ministry, to strip club, to teen trafficking, everything. There was just ministries for everything. I loved that. That's when I realized I really loved helping people. As I was there, the religion part, I couldn't handle. The whole, you're got to be like us, you're going to hell. That just never vibed with me.
Yep.
So eventually that had to break up. But what was stuck in me was like, okay, what's left? I know that I love helping people, help people. So I started just, really, the happiness was like, what is it that makes people happy? And the answers are out there. I mean, you can enjoy this life more if you make it an addiction.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, I think at a foundational level, like people will say, well, I want money, or I want success, or I want status, or I want this. But at the truth of it is they don't want that. What people want is they want wholeness and peace. And they think that getting all of that stuff is going to fill those holes and make them feel happy, when it really doesn't.
Yes. Well, the only reason we want anything is because we think in the having it or being of it that we'll feel better. Period.
Right.
That's human behavior. That applies to you, me, everybody.
Yep.
We don't have to argue that. That's just a fact.
Yep.
Anything we want, whether you paint it with your self-righteousness, whatever, at the end of the day, anything and everything we want or do or want to do is because we think in the having or doing of it that we will feel better.
Right.
There's something there. You can. It just happens to be my personality so extreme that I know it's full volume. It's either goes off the track or I got to find the track.
Right. No, but I love that, and I got I went off once I first got sober, I went off the personal development deep end as well, and I meditated, I was doing all of that, and I had a big aversion to the God thing as well, and I'm very spiritual, but I got into the law of attraction, and there's this group of people that are like, the law of attraction is bullshit. Like, you can't just sit around and think positively and feel good and good things will happen, yada yada yada, and to some extent there's truth in that, but what people don't get is that you're not going to get something and then feel good and then continue to escalate. You need to feel good, and then your vibration, the vibration 100%. You give out will bring things to you, right? Yeah. So it's not about just like, please, I want a better life. It's you feel grateful for what you have.
You notice you even correct yourself, and like maybe some of that's not true. No, it absolutely is. You get what you think about. And what's funny is the biggest people that I found have, because of course I come from a professional Christian world, is when I really started talking about the law of attraction. I can show you. I mean, we could spend a whole podcast of how much Jesus himself talks about the law of attraction.
Tons.
What does he mean when he say, "Whatever you say in my name, you'll have"? Whatever there's so many. It's just kind of that's where it just gets weird. The whole, I don't want to tell anyone what to believe, and I don't want you to agree with me. The world would be a fucking mess if everybody thought like me.
Yeah,
but
that's not the point.
Themselves.
That's not the point. Yeah, you're not saying like, what I say is how you
right.
should live. You're like, and that's the thing is like, you know.
Well, you have to unwind that because after, I think it was like 16 years total, you know, when you really jump into anything and let your mind be programmed by religion, you can't help but you just have this posture of you're better than everyone else and you have to, you know.
Or your way is the right way.
That took a long time to unwind,
Yeah.
to detoxify from me thinking that I somehow had a fast track to God and and you better agree with me or you're going to hell forever and ever.
Yeah, no.
It's
And
ridiculous.
so, but what's interesting to me is your experience as a pastor at one of those mega churches. So, like a little while back, this is like maybe 3-4 years ago. My ex-wife took my daughter to this church service, and I'm not gonna name the church, but it's a powerhouse giant. It's like a giant marketing, like it's a giant commercial of a church in San Diego. There's one in Point Loma. There's one in there's a few of them all over, right?
Yeah.
But she went to this church. And I was like, I talked to my ex-wife. I was like, look, I don't care if you want to go there, but don't take my daughter there. You know, I don't want her around that because the people there, like I met a whole bunch of them because I had a couple of acquaintances that went there. And it was like talking to robots. Like and what they were saying is, God wants you to have money so you can give to the church. Throw out all the books in your house that aren't to do with Jesus. We are the right, like it was complete. And I was like, I don't want my kid anywhere near that because that to me is just programming people to think this is the only way you can be. And life is not like that. Life isn't black and white. Life is gray.
Yeah, and the challenge is because I still there's this because I have the other thing is I've met some amazing people in that community. So I have some great friends that are pastors of huge churches, and there are some good churches out there. Some people that get it, but it's just kind of one of those things. That's why I say you got to think for yourself. Don't show up somewhere and they start telling you what to do. Run.
Yeah, right.
If you enjoy it, go,
or try it. That's what I always like, like
it's like perfume. I say it's like this. Here's how you treat church. It's like perfume. You smell it. You go and smell it. I was like, don't drink that shit though. It's not what it's for because it gets weird, especially if it's you become a professional and that's your lifestyle. Because then you're attached. Your money's attached to it. And then you have to. Yeah. Like you can't. I mean, I was cast out anyway.
but that's important though, and I think that steals from people's happiness. Yeah. When somebody tells you how you feel is wrong, how I feel is right, this is how you must live your life, like that right there, you're forfeiting your own individuality. Yes. And maybe that's your masculinity, maybe it's your femininity, maybe it's like growing up if you want to be an artist but your dad was an accountant and his dad was an accountant and you're like, hey dad, I want to be an artist. He's like, no, you're going to be an accountant. And then you just fall in line and do that. Guess what? You think you're going to be very happy? Nope. Probably not going to be very good at your job. You're going to end up quitting. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
if there's any one thread that I would say I would want Indestructible Joy about is as a podcast would be find your own path. Stop. I have so many coaches and people that I look up to and respect. People that I ask for advice. People that I talk to. They're never the ones that tell me. They're the ones but I've realized you're a man. I'm a man. Whether you're a man or woman, you are responsible to find your own path. Nobody else is going to do it. Nobody else is going to save you. Yep. If you go down the path of I'm just going to submit to believe and just turn my mind off, it just in life progress equals happiness. You're either growing or dying. Mm-hmm.
There's no standing still.
No standing still, and there's no growth when someone else is telling you here's where you have to be and here's what you have to believe and we're the experts. And it just doesn't work. It doesn't work for me.
Go out and try things.
Great if it works, because again, some of them. See, the anomaly is there's a couple people I could list their names. They're so fucking solid in how they live their life and how loving they are, and they're legit followers of Jesus. It's like, I can't check the whole thing off because there's this seed in the remnant of like, okay, there's something to the Jesus thing, there's something to the God thing, the religion thing, the whole thing. It as soon as it's a governing or authoritative, bye.
Yeah. For sure.
It doesn't work for me.
No, I mean, and that's, it's so interesting. One of the reasons why this country is great is because it's built on the foundation that I can believe what I'd like. I can openly say how I feel, and you're not supposed to be persecuted or demonized for that, but that's not how it is at all. And in fact, in this society now, it's gotten so bad where you can't say anything without somebody, 15 million haters
that.
and comments.
I enjoy that. I look for things to say. If things I say on social media bother you, That's on you.
So then let me ask you this, because I'm going to tell you something, transparent about myself that takes away from a lot of my happiness. And I actually at some point wanted to open a talk with you about this, because you kind of seem like one of these guys who you've figured out, you know yourself well enough to stay happy regardless of outside circumstances.
Indestructible joy.
Exactly, right? So for me, like, if somebody rejects me, doesn't want to do business with me, doesn't like me for some reason,
Yeah, they're going to.
Well, I know that, but it's painful.
Yeah, that's
how. So as some practical advice for somebody that's listening to this and dealing with this, just like anybody else in life, what are some of the tools that you've discovered that when that happens, here's how you can stay rooted in, like, no, that's not, it's not personal. It's not about me as a like, how do you do that?
That's a great question, and this one's hard for people to get around. And I got this from the 4 Agreements, but it's so true. Don't take anything personal, because it never is. It never is. If someone comes up and attacks you, it's just not personal. It does take it takes. Here's what takes a lot of practice is to truly work on not caring what other people think. You can say that and you can post about it, but to truly do that, because it's
I'm not there yet, brother.
It's impossible.
I'm not there
None
yet.
of us are.
Yeah.
I think it's impossible. We're humans. We need, you want your girlfriend to like you.
Yeah, of course.
You care what she thinks. Peace. You want your kids to. You care what people think, whether you want to or not. It's just about. Again, who's steering that? Who's managing how much? Because there's plenty of people where it just doesn't click. Not everyone's going to be your cup of tea, and it takes. I think it takes a lot of practice to really use it, because to not take things personally, especially if you're someone like me, extreme personality, where I take it over personally, and I get hypersensitive, and then it's like
me too.
And it reads.
Well,
too
we're
much.
we're addicts, right?
It's really nobody. Here's the thing: we think we care so much what people are thinking about us. The truth is, ain't nobody thinking about you.
We're
all thinking about ourselves.
In fact,
about ourselves.
I got a great Tony who's sitting behind the camera right now and recording this. Him and I used to
shout out to Tony, podcaster, cameraman
Yes.
extraordinaire.
we used to have a podcast that he produced and I hosted, and we used to shoot videos. And there was one day where I had a big pimple, and we were supposed to shoot a video, and I'm like, dude, I can't shoot today, man. And he's like, well, why not? I said, look, I got this big zit. Like, what am I supposed to do about that? And he's like, well, maybe just stop giving a fuck about it. And I was like,
yeah, I don't,
okay. And he goes, just do it anyways. And he said, somebody's going to look at that.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to look at that. Maybe for 3 seconds, they'll be like, oh, so-and-so's got that. And then they're on to the next thing in their life.
I got a little black eye where I got banged a little bit, bumped a little bit here.
Oh, well.
I think it makes me look better.
Well, right. Chicks dig dudes with scars, but I don't know if chicks digs dudes with pimples. I think those are two different things. But the point that Tony was trying to make is, like, everybody is wrapped up in their own shit.
Yes. 100%.
Nobody cares, 100%, man.
100%.
Like, you do something.
That's why the whole thing, I keep going back to, hey, don't agree with me. Think for yourself. Just stop. Some of the stuff is so, when people talk, it's like, have you even really taken a step back and thought about what you're saying? We just run programs. We're programmed, especially with the way things divided. Once you pick a side, you're just running programs. So just for a second, stop. Go, wait a minute.
So, but how do you do that though, Tom? That's what I want to know.
Okay, that's
like,
a great question.
what's the first? Like, if I'm, obviously,
number one, you want to increase your peace of mind. Learn to meditate. Period.
Okay.
Figure it out. You could do like me and you read 100 books and not figure it out. You could try it. I couldn't settle my mind for one still. The only thing I found that worked for me, and everyone do whatever they want to do, but it's called Transcendental Meditation. They have centers everywhere. It's tm.org. But it's a 4-day class. It's like 2 hours a day, and they teach you how to meditate. And one of the things he said to me, which I got to be, I couldn't go to jujitsu. I couldn't read about jujitsu and learn it. You know what I mean? I had to show up.
You have to do it.
I couldn't read about yoga and understand it. You have to show up. And I didn't really put that connection with meditation, but you absolutely need someone to show you this is, and I think there's no better system than that. I meditate twice a day. Sometimes just once a day, but for 20 minutes. I put 22 minutes because I'm weird. But
22 minutes.
And I just turn a thing on, and it's pretty simple. You can do it the way they do it, where they give you a mantra, or you can listen to an air conditioner, or just something that where your mind's, and it's not easy to do. It probably took me 6 months to really start to feel like, okay, I think I am slowing my brain down.
Well, for sure. Like that's I meditate daily as well, and I used to. For a while, I was doing it for an hour a day, and I got up to doing that, and people would be like, I don't know how to meditate, I can't turn my mind off. And I said, nobody can turn their mind off. Your mind is like a monkey in a cage with grenades. Like, it's insane. But the thing is that how you slow your mind down is not by trying to resist the thoughts that pop up.
Right.
So, and your
Right.
mind's tricky. Like you'll sit there and you're like, okay, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to try to relax and calm down. And your mind's like, oh yeah, well, I'm going to start having you think about like you killing your grandmother and all kinds of, because it wants you to be like, oh
Right.
my God, you know, but you have to be able to say, okay, I accept that. I accept that. You have to let the thoughts and the sensations come. And once your mind realizes like, okay, I'm done, then it'll kind of quiet down.
Yeah.
But you can't think yourself quiet.
Right.
Right. And I love that you talk about reading. Like there's this personal development trap now that people have where they think if I read a book on this, now I know how to do it. No, you don't. You actually have to do it.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
And the personal development, what I found, because I listen at least an Audible, a book a week, and I read at least one a month.
There you go.
And I would guess at least 90% of it is just shit. It's some of the stuff is like most personal development world is garbage, to be honest. But there's some really good stuff out there, and I feel like I've done so much research that I can say, okay, this works. Meditation, learn how to meditate. You got to do that. Figure out the resistance. You said that resistance. Stop fighting for a second, because everyone's just so. Take a step back. Stop resisting. The world's gonna be fine if you just let off the gas for a minute.
Yes.
That resistance. Because the world, you have no control.
Zero.
You think you do.
Yeah.
I mean, what did
none.
you even do to get yourself here? Did you make your heart beat? Nothing. You really take a step. You have no control. If you can get your head around that, and again, that takes some. Some of us are harder than others.
That's hard, man.
That's their issue. But I mean, it just comes to matter. Do you truly want to have peace of mind, or do you want to be right? Do you want to keep hanging on and fighting?
Well, that's my sponsor says, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
Right. Well, I used to tell people in marriage counseling, you can be right or married, because you can't be both. It's just not going to work at all. It's so true, especially if you're a man. Just give up being right.
I just wake up and apologize right off the bat. Hey, good morning. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But you know what? That's wisdom, because you don't have to be right, because it's really what are we? Especially, now think about that. If you're in a relationship with someone, you're a part. They're not the opposite side of the fence to you. They're never your opponent.
No, you're your partner.
But we anticipate where they're somehow our opponent. It doesn't matter who's right or who's wrong. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's such a long list of things to do. If you truly want to, stop the resistance. I mean,
So start meditating.
Put
Stop
good
resisting.
shit in your mind every single day. Every single day. I start off with at least, I will tell someone this, read at least a page a day, because then you'll read more. And listen to at least 15 minutes of something good. And anything, something that inspires you, not something good like a podcast that's about politics or anything, but something that makes your soul feel better.
Yeah.
Every day. Because think about it, nobody in the world, the 7-Eleven guy, your girlfriend, your wife, they're not waking up thinking, how do I make Tommy's day better? How do I make sure Tommy has good peace of mind? They're putting stuff in their mind that, your mind, the world, the media, it's coming at you from waves everywhere. If you don't take responsibility for your own life and put some good stuff in there, it doesn't get in there. Positive in, positive out, like Zig Ziglar used to say. It's true. Mm-hmm. It's totally true. The other thing I would say is figure out how to find someone. What's funny is that third pillar, give or serve, whatever you want to call it, helping others. People make this big thing about it, I got to sign up at this place and volunteer this. No, dude, just go to Starbucks and be fucking cool to the people in front of you. Ask how they're doing. Just how's it going? If you dig into someone, almost anyone, grab them on the street, start talking to them, build a connection, everything okay, how can I help you? How can I pray for you? Or whatever. You realize people are just walking around hurting.
For sure.
They're hurting. They'll say they're fine, but you keep asking and you realize, man, men especially.
I'm something, I can talk to anybody. You can put me in a room with anybody and I'll make friends. And, I've had people ask me like, well, how are you what do you do to do that? And I go, I just ask people questions about their life.
Yeah.
Hey man, how you doing? Where are you from?
Yeah.
What's going on? People want to talk about, they want to talk.
And not have an agenda of what I'm trying to make them think I am.
No, not at all. Just ask them about themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. What do you mean? Tell me more about that. Oh, okay, cool. People want to open up. They want to talk. They want to, we're wired to be social, but on the other hand, it's also good to have solitude.
It's like everybody's these days, the defenses are so high, the walls are so high, there's so many dividers that it's so prickly to even, but if you take the time, because I'm not afraid of people, just kind of talk to them, they're there, they're there. And I would say if there's any one thing that will, if you want to boil everything down, what's the one thing I could do that would increase my happiness? Point blank period. Doesn't get any better than this. service to others.
Yeah.
Period. If you don't figure that one out, you're going to be, you might as well start there and try and figure out how to do that. All the other stuff, there's a lot of things, find some good things to get addicted to. Go for walks. And look up. For God's sake, if you walk, everyone's like this. Look up. Look at the fucking universe. What a rare and beautiful thing it truly is that we even exist.
No kidding.
And nobody reminds you that. They just want to tell you to freaking, this guy's bad, that guy's bad, do this, look at him, look at that. No, you exist.
Yeah.
So figure out how to enjoy
it.
Well,
that's like, I think Gary Vee's the one, he talks about this. He's like, the chances of you being born are like 400 trillion to 1. And then, like you already won the lottery.
And then that's just the born part. And then not to mention everything that just keeps coming. I mean, look at everything outside you, the universe. It's
insane, right?
You know what? Again, you want a close number 2 besides service for others, maybe even tied, is gratitude. Cultivate gratitude every 100%. Day, all day. Gratitude is the great multiplier of life, period.
Yeah.
Be grateful for where you are. Of course, you want more, but it has to be okay right now. It has to be okay right where you are.
Exactly.
You have to realize.
But that's the hack that people don't understand is like, and that's where I come back to the law of attraction thing. If you are constantly saying out to the universe, I don't have this, I don't have that.
That's
the
easier.
universe gives back to you. You're right. You don't have this. But if you're grateful for the life you have, the universe will start giving you more.
So that takes work because it's super easy to bitch.
Oh yeah.
It's easy to hate. It's really easy to hate. It's hard to love. Mm-hmm. It takes work. It's super easy to be pissed and annoyed about everything. It's hard to let that shit go and still keep looking for the good, and to find out what's wrong. Shit, what wrong is always going to be there. Just walk out and someone's going to tell you what's wrong with something. You know what though? So is what's right. What's right. What's right is always there too. Yeah. And if you're not looking for it, sometimes I wake up in the morning and say, okay, God, I'm just going to make this a mission to find your blessings today. And because man, they're there. When I do that, man, the days are great. As soon as, and trust me, we're all, I haven't figured all this stuff out. I'm just trying to survive just like everyone else and make the best of this and enjoy it. As soon as you figure out that that's your wrestling match right there, that the overwhelming world wants you to focus on what they want you to focus on, which is predominantly not good. It just is the way it is. And you've got to figure out how to enjoy this life experience. You have to. Mm-hmm. You have to. I feel like if I'm God, which I'm not, and I created this whole thing for you and set this whole life up, this whole amazing thing, and you're bitching about it. If I'm God, I'd be like, really?
Yeah.
Really? That's what you're bitching about. Mm-hmm. I don't know. That kind of,
especially also,
I'm not afraid.
What
of God,
are you
I'm
bitching
going to
about?
hell, but it's kind of like that has to be the attitude that whatever created us is like. How do you not appreciate this?
Yeah.
Not easy to do because it's like right here it's easy to do because we're talking about it. And it's up, and I get fired up.
Oh, it's when you're in the thick of it.
Yeah, that's
when something happens that rocks your world.
Yeah.
It's very easy to say, I'm so unlucky, and like this is but there's so many other things and blessings.
Also,
you still
what
have.
if those are the blessings? What if the hard shit is what we came for?
Yeah.
I mean, do you think we came here to sit in a nest and do nothing?
No,
I think we came here for contrast, and it doesn't mean I don't want a good day today, but it might be the reason we came here. What else could possibly be the reason?
I like it. Any closing remarks, or what can we expect for the first season run here on Indestructible Joy? You're gonna have some guests on.
Yeah, I got a few good guests. I got a lot of great friends. I got a lot of really smart people in my life.
Drop a lot of
really
value.
Great people. Mm-hmm. And it really, what would I hope to get from this? I should probably think this stuff through before I do the whole.
No,
podcast.
you're doing great.
But you know what? Here's
Nonsense.
what I realized. My expression of because I feel fired up now just talking about how to make people better and how to make my life better and make other people. So for me, for selfish reasons, this makes my life better. It doesn't matter. You gotta express yourself. Whether if you're an artist, you should express yourself regardless if the art sells or not. So it doesn't have to. Nobody has to agree. It doesn't have to click likes and all that stuff. This isn't something I'm looking at like I got to make a bunch of money from this right now. My business is doing fine. This is not some business idea to get in a funnel or anything like that. I mean, I offer services, but that's not what this is for. I just want to start expressing and bringing some people on here because I think I do have some great friends that have a lot to say and want to give them a vehicle to talk.
I like it. All right, man.
What else to expect? I think at this point in my life, I've realized that the only way to go is to be your authentic self. Figure out how to be there. That's hard to do because you're so programmed and you have to be this person for that. To unwind that takes a lot of work and takes some times. And especially if you're going to be in a relationship, like I'm with a beautiful woman and I've committed to that. It's got to be as 100% real. It's got to be 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 a real partnership, not me and you. It's like we're going to do this all in, and that takes a little bit of maturity because you can have girlfriends and kind of, you're not really all the way in. You're kind of, I think it just took years for me to get to where anything outside of me being my authentic self, I just don't want to do. And I'm okay when people don't like me. I probably weirdly like it, because I'm not trying to fit in anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to do my best to make an impact on myself and others, especially my 3 kids, to make the most out of this thing we call life.
Yeah, I think the podcast will do exactly that, and I'm really looking forward to, helping you with the project and producing this and tuning into each episode and telling everybody that wants more happiness and more joy to go talk to my buddy Tommy because he's got you covered.
Right on. Well, thanks for coming in. Thanks for doing all this. Shout out to Tony.
All right.
Thank you, guys.